And it's great to hear new teams, new perspectives, especially teams that are big in sim racing, but also now choosing to be in eNASCAR. We
Countdown to Green. We take a look back at all the action from Las Vegas. We prepare you for everything for tonight's race at Atlanta. And we take a look at how you're racing at home with the Logitech Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more tonight on Countdown to Green.
Presented by eNASCAR, as we will get you revved up for the third race of this 2024 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series campaign. About 30 minutes away from the green flag, and happy that you're with us on this Tuesday night as always. My name is Evan Pasoko with Blake McCandless and Alan Cavana. And gentlemen, thanks for the invite, for popping in a little bit early this week. Camille out this time around, so the production team figured just swap one Canadian with another, I guess. But we're excited. It's going to be a fun race coming up, and it'll all get kicked off as we continue to crown our champion and continue on this campaign. But Vegas, a couple of weeks ago, my hometown track, Blake, we had a lot of fun bantering about that up in the booth. But tonight, a different challenge, even though from maybe afar, those racetracks look very similar compared to tonight.
Well, again, kind of going backwards in time, you think about the Cup Series schedule, and what a memorable finish. Probably one of the more memorable finishes in recent memory that we saw in the NASCAR Cup Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Alan, I think we would be set up to see just about the same thing tonight as well.
I would hope so. Those Sunday drivers put on a show. They set the standard. Now it's time for the Coke Series drivers to do their part. 2 weeks in a row. Think about that. Or at least 2 races in a row. What we saw out in Las Vegas, I hope we get well, I don't think the drivers do, but I hope we get some of that same drama toward the end of this race tonight at Atlanta.
You've heard of sim to reality, hopefully a little bit of reality to sim. If we can just get an inkling of how exciting that Atlanta finish was, tonight's going to be a show. We'll also be joined a little bit later on the show by the most recent NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series winner, Raja Karuth. But before we get to all of that and more, Blake, let's take a look back at 2 weeks ago from Vegas.
And again, a lot to talk about at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 100 laps on the docket. And Alan, going throughout this race, we saw a lot of changes. We saw long green flag runs, but we saw, I think, a glimpse of the contenders that will be a factor not only tonight, but throughout the rest of the season with our first true test at 1.5 miles.
And we saw some early cautions, which were not good. I mean, some early incidents. But for the most part, I give the field a lot of credit. I mean, this race at Las Vegas, you can see 3 wide, sometimes 4 wide. Long stretches of clean green flag racing. But when there were incidents, it was so detrimental to some of these drivers, especially early on, trying to stay and keep their position here in the points. You can see the 99 here for Swag is about to go around. Unfortunately, other title contenders went around much earlier, but this race turned into not only good racing, strategy racing, different drivers on different strategies, and then one epic ending, Blake.
I think Kate Honeycutt showing right there that these drivers had pretty much free use of the racetrack in front of them. Derek Bordeaux went around a little bit later on. But Alan, we were talking about it, that we had a memorable finish at Atlanta, the NASCAR Cup Series, and we were treated to one here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway as well. We mentioned the strategy. You can see Malik Ray and Ryan Luza that had to come down pit road through the long green flag cycle that we had. Multiple strategies involved. Some drivers stayed out, some drivers pit, but at the end, Nick Ottinger, Cody Bias coming down to the end, and it is Keegan Leahy who escapes with the win to lock himself potentially into the playoffs.
What a moment. What a moment for him. Just reestablish himself, right? The former champion, Keegan Leahy. But, thinking the playoffs and thinking championship, I'm thinking about that early incident that took out both Aaron Lowe and Tucker Mintor. They are in such a hole early on in the season. And Blake, I'll say it, look, it's never too early to worry, especially in a series like this where the checkered flag means so much. To put yourself in a points hole, I'm worried about them going forward. These are 2 drivers that were championship contenders last year. To be in such a hole early on the season, I'm worried for them.
5, 3, 1.
Well, I'm worried for them too, and you think with Atlanta looming, that is a daunting task to try and climb out of that points hole this early in the season. It's going to be an uphill battle for sure. But my biggest thought coming away from this race is, what more could you want? I know Evan and I had an incredible time up there trying to dissect everything that was going on, the multiple strategies that we had. And when talking to these drivers, they say all the time, we want these races to play out. We've gone to overtime many times over the last couple of years. We want these races to play out. We want strategy. We want the fastest cars to be able to perform. That's exactly what they got. It just so happened that it also put on a spectacular show for us and the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series fans out there. So we got everything I think you could want in a Coke Series race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And after that, we'll go ahead and take a look at the playoff standings. Now, of course, Leahy with his win at Las Vegas Motor Speedway goes right to the top as he's in the top 20 in points, joining Wyatt Tinsley after his Daytona win. But Alan, the one thing I am looking at, look at the top 5 points. Keegan Leahy, former champion. Casey Kerwin, former series champion. Steven Wilson, defending champion. Our past champions are performing so very well early on this season.
Inside.
And then let's not forget about the second point.
Still there at the bottom. Clear inside.
It is the second points. Now, again, of course, you can see that Wyatt Tinsley drops down to 6. This is a separate point system that will be happening as we split up this season into segments. There is $3,000 on the line for a driver that wins segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, as well as 5 crucial playoff points. So Keegan Leahy not only gets the playoff points from a win, but he has more to try to fight for over the course of these next couple of races as well.
Cold hard cash. What a great motivator that is. Let's look at the team standings.
Looks like one of your wheels is out of alignment.
Right
You'll have
there.
less
Tony
grip out
Kanaan
there.
Esports, though, made a big
got
jump
damage
in the
on the
last
back
race,
end.
+4. You look at some of the other ones, though. Joe Gibbs Racing, you can see -6 after that race. And then on the other side of the column, some good and bad. Kevin Harvick Incorporated, the newbies around town, right? +7 after that last race. And then Front Row Motorsports, we saw what happened with Bordeaux and Michael Cozy Jr. What with them, -7. Look, a lot of pride, trophies, some money on the line in the team standings as well. You don't want to neglect those standings, especially when you're trying to come up through the ranks. And unfortunately, toward the bottom, one of our newer teams, BS Competition, sitting there in 19th out of 20. And part of the reason is because their drivers, they keep getting involved in incidents, sometimes with each other. But let's get the skinny on that, because we asked the CEO of BS Competition to be here with us, and he joined us earlier today. Florian Hosper joined us, and for a team that really is known for the non-ovals of iRacing, we asked him what made him come over to eNASCAR.
Yeah, we've always looked at eNASCAR as one of the top esports series out there on our platform iRacing, and there are not so many top level series, but we also knew that we were not a natural, let's say, team to do NASCAR, and so we had to. We never really tried to get into it and so on because we thought it's so far away. The conversation started, and it was suddenly possible that we got a spot and that we had a chance to compete. And we just grabbed it, because it was such a great opportunity. And to be honest, now with the first races already done, this just confirms our view of the series. It's just awesome to be a part of it and to get this chance, because iRacing is handling it so well. So it's a great pleasure and honor to be a part of it.
And they're getting an early feel of just how tough the competition is, because they have 2 drivers, 2 great drivers, Jordy Lopez, Garrett Lowe. We asked how can he get those 2 drivers on his team?
Yeah, I mean, in our DNA is the competitive spirit, I would say. Yeah? So if we want to, or if we compete in anything, we want to get front runners, and we want to be competitive. And the pool of players and last year's results, and also who could fit the team and fit the sponsors that we have on board, and so on. Then we reached out to Jordy and Garrett, and it all worked out fine. And I'm just so happy that they are part of the team now for this campaign. Also here it was confirmed they started really nicely. They understand our spirit. Because we don't take ourselves too serious. We want to enjoy what we are doing, but still be competitive. And I think both of them, from different angles, I would say, they are different characters for sure, but they perfectly fit into our BS Competition family.
different characters, a lot of talent though together. Got to dig out of that hole. Now there's no telling obviously the international appeal of iRacing, but we asked Florian about the growth of NASCAR in Germany and what he's seen.
Yeah, I think it's growing a lot. Basically, as all U.S.-based sports, I would say it's also a huge growth of NFL and NBA in Germany in particular. And then there's this funny aspect because in the old days I've been working with a guy called Pete Fink as a motor racing editor, as an author, a writer, a news editor, and this guy had a huge interest in NASCAR 20 years ago, but it was still very small here in Germany, or the audience was limited, I would say. But he wrote about it, and then he started commentating on television. And now we are working with Pete, let's say, for our team streams of eNASCAR, and he's this link really to the German NASCAR community, and it's growing, and he's been writing books about it, so he's Mr. NASCAR in Germany, and so it's so cool for us to have him involved in eNASCAR, and he's learning so many things. And first he was a bit skeptical maybe and said, okay, I didn't know that, and suddenly there was a strategy thing, a fuel saving thing in Las Vegas, and he was overwhelmed, and he said, well, this is the real deal, and like the real deal. So I think there's a really good perspective for us getting connected to the German NASCAR side and telling them about eNASCAR.
I love that, seeing the NASCAR brand grow and people love it across the pond, but that goes both ways, and we know how much BS competition is done in sim racing, so we asked him, eNASCAR now, what else are you going to do to expand in the world of sim racing?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about trying new things every time and to broaden your scope of activity. I mean, you have teams out there in the sim racing world that are focusing on certain platforms, and then they're focusing on certain type of events and so on. But we've always said we want to be as widespread or as open to everything as possible, and now expanding into eNASCAR is showing exactly this. So we want to compete there as well. We want to be strong there. We want to extend our storyline that we tell all the time with the zebras and the bit of ironical and entertaining side of things. And what really surprised me is how far developed this aspect already is in eNASCAR, with all the organizations being at work, and there are so many different approaches of marketing and communicating the series, and it's so playful and it's also so serious. So it's a really tough environment and cool environment on so many different levels, and this is what I really enjoy. So it's a great next step for us as a team.
And it's great to hear new teams, new perspectives, especially teams that are big in sim racing, but also now choosing to be in eNASCAR. We see the growth everywhere.
We really do, and I think it applies not only, Blake, to the drivers. We talk about new drivers in every season, but the mix of pro sim teams and the NASCAR teams on the team side of things for that championship, I think was equally as fun to track every year.
Oh, for sure, and we have a lot of brand new teams this year, so they're getting acclimated. We heard it right there about just kind of the nuances and learning kind of what's unique, not only about the NASCAR space, but sim racing in general, and it's great to educate them and see them try to get up to speed and compete in the series, because that's what they're here to do. They're here to win.
Well, as we continue celebrating the 15th season of this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, let's take a look back in time once more and head to the vault with iRacing's own Justin Melillo.
Every dynasty starts somewhere. Ray Alfalla didn't just wake up one day as a four-time eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion. He raced his way to the front, and he made it happen. Four-time